Hello, guys. We are back with some more BSL action. I am Nyoken, joined by, of course, the one and only Gypsy. Yesterday, we got to see some sick matches between Terror and Boa, an absolutely bananas series that I thought would not top the series that we saw in the round of 16, which was Terror versus Dandy. And then we had a surprise victory with Avilov actually taking out one of the favorite Terrans in Koget 3-1. But now we're getting into the side of the bracket where you look at it and you're thinking, like, how are these matches actually just round of 8 matches? Because we've got Bonyth versus Dewalt coming up. They seem to always face each other. And then we've got True Touch versus Oyaji.
Yeah, yesterday was a bonkers day now, and like you said, especially that Boa versus Terra game. It went the distance, all 5 games, and the last game was quite a treat. So, if you missed that, make sure to go check it out. And even the series before that was really interesting. Koget versus Avilov, where Avilov kind of, like you said, he usurped the throne a bit or whatever. But Koget had some cool builds of his own, and Avilov had some cool builds. That was a really mind-gamey best of 5. But it was a sick game. It was a sick series as well. And like you said, today is just going to be even more insane bonkers. I mean, I don't know if we're going to be able to top off the Terra versus Boa match that we had yesterday, but Dewalt versus Bonyth promises to be great, obviously. The 2 top foreigners right now. And after that, I mean, we have Oyaji, kind of the up-and-coming star of BSL, against one of the princes of BSL in True Touch. And True Touch has won the tournament, like 4 times? So that's also a really interesting storyline where you have basically one of the kings there, and then Oya coming up and really testing himself. I think, last season we had that sick format with the round robin in the round of 8, which really led to a lot of games, but this is bracket format, right? So this is where the pressure comes in. Every match counts, every game counts, because if you lose your series, you're out of the tournament. It's not like the round robin where, okay, maybe you have some leeway against a player or 2. So Oya is going to have to perform here under pressure. I think it's probably going to be the highest pressure he's been in so far in terms of his StarCraft career, I would say. Of course, he has won the Gosu League, but that's not the Pro League now. That's going to be interesting, but Dewalt and Bonyth is going to be our first matchup.
Yeah, so it feels like every season these 2 are just destined to meet, and this time it's going to be in the round of 8. Remember last season, I think it was in the finals that they met. Yeah, in the finals they met, and you can see that Dewalt got second, whereas Bonyth, of course he won, because that's just what he does in the BSL. You said that the BSL was like the ASL, except better. However, I'm pretty sure that the BSL actually stands for Bonyth, so he's looking to go for a 4-peat this season. And just this side of the bracket, it's like, if Bonyth wins, it's like, oh, you're rewarded with either True Touch or Oyaji. And I just think, like, I'm actually looking at the bottom 4, and you would think, like, okay, well, Oyaji, I guess, is the biggest underdog here. And if he makes it out, who's he rewarded with? Either Dewalt or Bonyth. It's like, oh, you had basically the finals in your round of 8. Well, here's another finals that you're just going to have in the round of 4. And then whoever comes out through the top side it's basically what I'm saying is there's like 3 finals going into from the round of 8 on. It's just absolutely crazy.
Yeah, especially on this bottom side, it's going to be crazy. I mean, top side, we're going to have Terra versus Avilov, so that's going to be sick. But yeah, this bottom side is going to, let's just say I think the favorite to win the whole tournament is going to be coming from this bottom side of the bracket. Dewalt versus Bonyth, again, it's going to be such an important match here because either of these 2 really would be anyone's pick to win the tournament. And then I would say True Touch is a close third. So we'll see, man. Bonyth versus Dewalt. I mean, these guys have played this is a repeat of last season's finals where Bonyth did manage to win over Dewalt. So we'll have to see if Dewalt is going to have his revenge here. Dewalt's been practicing like crazy. He's He's peak skill right now. You know, he was playing the ASL qualifiers not too long ago. Bonyth, on the other hand, I'm not quite sure how much he's been playing. Of course, he's our favorite dad in the scene. Does have to take care of his kids or kid. Does he have just one kid? Yeah, so just one. Yeah, so far says 0. So more to come. The Bonyth Juniors of the world are going to take over the StarCraft scene. But you know, obviously, when you're a parent, things change. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be Bonyth versus Dewalt. The players are ready. The map is made. Let's get into it.
Okay, in the top right, in the white, we have our Russian Protoss. It is Dewalt.
And in the bottom left, in the red, we have the Polish Protoss. It is Bonyth.
Yeah, so I've been looking on Liquipedia trying to figure out that thing I was talking about previously where you can find people's head-to-head matchups, and I found it. I'm going to put it in the chat now. Obviously, there's a delay, so people aren't going to see this instantly, but looking at the stats from 2020, Bonyth and Dewalt are 11 and 12 versus each other, and actually I think it is Dewalt with the slight advantage there. And then in 2021, 8-5 advantage for Bonyth, but obviously we're just barely into 2021. And in 2019, it was 19-18. So basically 50% win rate from 2019 all the way to the beginning of 2021. Yet somehow Bonyth is the one here with 3 championships. It always, when it matters the most, Bonyth seems to turn it on. So, you know, we both predicted last season that Dewalt was the man, but ended up being Bonyth. So definitely Dewalt is looking to change that storyline this time. Remember, he did come off of a win at RCG, so he is looking much better than last year.
Yeah, totally right about that, Nyokin. So we'll see. I mean, it is a toss-up. I'm actually surprised it's that close. I thought maybe Bonyth had a bit more of an edge, but it is very close to 50-50. And yeah, look at that. Bonyth throwing down the double gate here. It's a nice build in PvP, of course. You can get up to 3 Zealots, sometimes 5. You know, 5 might be really aggressive, really committing to it. But the defending player has to, you know, most of the time they have to get like a shield battery at the very least. And the 3 Zealots basically come right in as the 1 Dragoon pops out. And, you know, 1 Dragoon actually does very little damage to Zealots, even though you can micro it for a really long time. So you're going to have 3 Zealots versus 1 Dragoon, 1 Zealot. If those 3 Zealots get inside of your mineral line and start killing probes, then behind it, 2 Gate player has 2 Gate Goon coming, so they're not going to die to a counterattack. So really, kind of an aggressive opening from Bonyth, but it's not necessarily too gimmicky, this matchup. Of course, it'll all depend on how much damage those Zealots do to Dewalt's mineral line. But so far, it is Bonyth who's basically whipping out the special here.
Yeah, so this is always the question for me, is what's the follow-up to the 2-gate? And it looks like it's going to just be gas into standard cybernetics. Now, if you play the ladder, you know that often this opener turns into a Forge expand. So it's going to be a little bit different than what a lot of players experience on the ladder. I think we've seen this previously in BSL, somebody 2-gate. I can't remember exactly who it was. Okay, there is the cybernetics. I was wondering if he forgot about that probe not mining. Now, that's a nice pylon block. That's going to disrupt a lot of mining. Look how many probes are pulled off just to kill this one pylon. Meanwhile, Battery and Zealot and Goon are going to be at the top of the ramp. I don't really expect Bonyth to get much damage done. Looks like the Goon's going to run out and try and get a few pot shots in. Well, you got to be careful.
I mean, this Goon's just not going to be there to block the ramp, so these Zealots are going to walk right on in. They also tag that Goon a couple, but, you know, it doesn't really matter too much. There's a shield battery. Bonyth, of course, he understands his priorities here. He has to just go for the mineral line. If you can pick off a couple probes, 2 to 3, you know, you're probably ahead. He's going to try and kill the Zealot first. So not playing too overly zealous onto the mineral line. Now the second Goon is out, though. With the 2 Goons, they can start actually damaging these Zealots. The 1 Zealot is really low, not getting focus fired. Dewalt does not notice which one is low. One probe goes down, two go down. That's already a decent amount of damage. If the third probe, oh my god, third probe goes down. Looking at the supply, they're relatively even, but most of that is in army for Dewalt right now. So, you know, Bonyth definitely has a strong worker lead at this point, and he has 2 gate behind this, so it doesn't matter that he just lost 3 zealots, because he can outproduce his opponent. So, from this opener, Bonyth is, you know, relatively, you know, slightly ahead, for sure.
Yeah, nicely done from Bonyth there to pick off a couple probes that I thought his zealots weren't really going to do much at all. So nice focus firing there, and now Dewalt's going to stay back. Because he got his cybernetics faster, obviously he's going to have range faster. So I would have expected him to try and move out and try and poke a little bit, but instead it looks like he's just going to be content sitting on his ramp. Now there is a probe at the bottom side of the map, and that's Dewalt's probe. I don't think this is going to proxy anything, but I guess it could. It looks like he is going to start, I thought he was going to start moving it into Bonyth's base now. Bonyth has just now moved out, so now would be a good time to go and check. Meanwhile, I don't see any tech for either side. No cybernetics, no citadel, it's just pure gates. There's the robo now, just now going down for Bonyth, and it looks like Dewalt is going to match it.
Yeah, there you go. There's the robotics on both sides, 2 gate on both sides, but Bonyth still has that worker lead from the beginning, and that's going to allow him to probably take this Nexus earlier than Dewalt. And really, there's nothing. I mean, this is kind of a huge advantage, because really they both have the same amount of units, both have the same amount of production, but Bonyth is just able to get his Nexus down probably a whole 30 seconds earlier than Dewalt. So this is definitely going to be a really good spot for Bonyth, but at the end of the day, like, it's only a couple seconds that separates these 2 builds, and most of the time that translates to, I mean, it can translate to a huge timing difference. For example, if like Bonyth comes in with a Reaver, and you know, Dewalt doesn't have a Reaver, but even compensating for like the rush distances, if Bonyth is playing aggressive with this kind of advantage, you know, the rush distance can actually nullify it almost. So it's not like Dewalt's in an unplayable position, but definitely Bonyth is slightly ahead. But really, it should come down to the execution in the fights.
So here's an interesting move for Bonyth, is there was support bait, no observatory. Now it just comes down. And we've seen a few games, not in PvP, but in PvT, where the players so far have gone for delayed Citadel, so somewhat risky move here to skip the observatory. And you can see that Dewalt is respecting the fact that this could be some type of Citadel play, so he goes into observatory first. There, of course, is going to be the support bay. Shuttle's already out for Dewalt. I don't see Shuttle or Reaver out for Bonyth at all, so it looks like he has skipped that and instead prioritized a couple Zealots instead. Now Dewalt is going to transfer probes himself to his natural, and everything looks similar, but if you look at the supply, Bonyth is up almost 15 supply.
Yeah, I mean, still that early Nexus is going to pay dividends here for a while. We'll have to see. The robotics is done here, support bay rather, the Reaver is out for Bonyth. It looks like Bonyth still respecting the fact that there might be a shuttle coming in, has a couple of goons in his main. So probably isn't too sure what the build order from Dewalt was. We saw that Dewalt basically put down his 2nd gate right away after the initial Zealot harass. But Bonyth did not see this, right? So, you know, the shuttle for him might be coming in earlier, but it's not. Anyway, the point is, like, these players don't have full information, but they're playing around whatever could happen. And really now we're just gonna watch both players kind of macro up, wait for that one shuttle with 2 Reavers with shuttle speed, and then we'll see. I mean, really, you know, what's nice about Bonyth's position is that he has a bunch of goons on Dewalt's high ground.
Yeah, he does, and I don't think Dewalt realized that. Yeah, he's going to move out and find out, like, oh, there's actually units here. Now, what I did notice is that Bonyth was not building any probes at his natural, so he might just be going on into full macro mode already, whereas Dewalt, it looked like, was building a couple more probes there. Shield battery going down at the natural, so this is going to be very, very powerful, because you can soak up a shot from the Reaver then just use the shield battery to heal up over and over and over. We saw this used in a previous BSL, I can't remember exactly who, but it looks like Dewalt has found a tiny opener at the natural, but the pylon with the vision is gonna make Bonyth aware of that. 3 gates for Bonyth. I don't see Citadel anywhere. Meanwhile, 4 gates for Dewalt, so he's got a little bit better macro going into the mid game, but more Reavers for Dewalt right now, or for Bonyth right now.
Yeah, it's interesting to see just how well that observer goes down for Dewalt. That's massive, actually. Dewalt does not have vision anymore of Bonyth's army. It's crazy how confident Dewalt plays. You know, as soon as he had that shuttle with Reaver, he just pushed out. He's like, yep, this is my timing to go out onto the map. But Bonyth is a whole, what is that, 20 supply ahead? Is that 92 or 82? It's probably...
That's 92.
92,
but I think, Reaver matching count.
Yeah, well, both players with 2 Reavers, but I mean, Bonyth just has way more Dragoons. That was a 6 snipe onto the shuttle from Dewalt, but he just does not have enough units to fight this. You can see Bonyth literally has twice the amount of Dragoons, and despite that 6 snipe from Dewalt, I mean, what can you do when you have fewer units? I mean, he still has his 2 Reavers with the shuttle. Maybe he can make something happen, but Bonyth is looking like he's getting poised to strike here. Of course, Bonyth does not have a shuttle for his Reavers just yet, so he might wait for that one. Of course, these Reavers can get sniped by this shuttle, but it is really the shuttle with Reavers rather, but it is really low, so it could die to basically, what is that, like 4 Dragoon shots. The obs does get picked off though, so that's really nice for Dewalt. But now, I mean, even if Bonyth doesn't attack here and kill Dewalt, he's effectively containing him, and he's expanding behind it, so really this position is killer for Bonyth.
Yeah, that whole time I was like, man, Bonyth's supply looks much higher despite, or his army looks much bigger despite the supplies being so close. And it's probably because, as I mentioned, Dewalt was continuing to build probes, and you can see the Nexus is still blinking right now.
Yeah.
Despite not having a 3rd base. So this is mainly the reason why it's so close, because he's prioritizing more econ. But without a 3rd Nexus, I think this might be a bit of a blunder. Maybe he needs to get more tech, more gates. Looks like Bonyth has decided that he's going to move out now. That is a big hit. Tried to snipe the shuttle, but unable to get it. But look at the lack of surface area for Dewalt. He's kind of just choked up, but those goons on the high ground are quite annoying.
Yeah, the goons on the high ground are what's going to keep Bonyth from pushing in here. Bonyth can't end the game right now unless he somehow manages to snipe Dewalt's Reavers with his own. There's just no way you can push into that high ground defense, really. Like, those goons on the high ground would soak up so much of the DPS from Bonyth's army. And looking at Dewalt's base, looks like he's teching up the Templar. He needs to do something to come back here. Now, this is a good way of getting back into the game. You know, Bonyth has to commit a lot of his forces to keeping this contained going and keeping his advantage there. So what do you do as Dewalt? You just run around and try and harass, but you know, Bonyth has so many gates, so many units. He can, his reinforcement units could deal with this shuttle. Cannot lose this shuttle, and it just goes down. But it does kill, like, what is that, 6 probes? Overall, though, because Bonyth has triple Nexus at this point, that was definitely not a worth trade.
Yeah, and all it does is make Bonyth's army value even higher. So this is going to be, you know, let's imagine that there's just a 3-unit lead here because it's a 6 supply different. You factor in the 6 kills. This is actually a 12 supply lead. Another dropship or a shuttle comes out, does not get picked off. Instead, the Bonyth focus down the observer. Now Dewalt has literally no vision. He has no idea when Bonyth is going to poke in. He's got to be very careful. Unfortunately, he's not able to kill that observer, so instead he just takes free Reaver shots. He's almost going to get that shuttle. So close.
Yeah, I mean, really, Bonyth is just toying with his food right now. There's, you know, obviously you're going to sit here. There's nothing else to do other than try and harass the front here, but it's really, all of this is kind of inconsequential for Bonyth. Okay, that's cheeky. Dewalt did manage to shuttle in a probe to build that expansion, so that's one way he can come back. You know, if this Nexus actually comes up online and then Dewalt breaks out, he can immediately saturate it and then be on equal economy. So it's all down to whether or not Dewalt can get a good engagement here. He does have Templar. I don't know if they have Storm. Dewalt's going to fight with half his army. Some more units are at his natural and in his main. The Reavers are not I mean, Bonyth isn't even fighting with some of his Reavers, so this is a good fight for Dewalt.
Yeah, it looked like Bonyth's Dragoons were bugging out, and they just flat out weren't firing. Now Dewalt is creeping across the map. That Reaver at the bottom is going to get taken out too, and now the supplies are, well, they're still relatively even, 126. Oh, actually, Dewalt, he's the one with a supply lead, just barely. And as you mentioned, he did manage to sneak top middle. Now, I'm trying to see, was there like harassment anywhere? I saw Dewalt's screen move to the bottom left, but it doesn't look like it. Now, I thought we had a couple Templars for Dewalt, but it looks like it morphed into an Archon, and that's going to be great versus what Bonyth is pumping out, because that's a lot of Zealots that he's actually ended up building.
Yeah, and honestly, for Dewalt to be able to sneak in that 12 o'clock Nexus, well, here comes a Reaver, like, this is going to maybe do some... Okay, apparently the replay is broken, but we are going to be watching from Bonyth's perspective. You know, the fact that Dewalt snuck that Nexus early means so much, because now, had he not done that, he would only be expanding now. So it would still take a while for him to get a third base online, but, you know, because he built it early, he's already mining from that third base. So basically he nullified the economic advantage that Bonyth has, and they're probably both around the same supply. Now, you can see Bonyth, his vision is not the greatest. He doesn't really know where Dewalt's army is. He can kind of guess that it's in the high ground there just from the small skirmish. So you can see he's preparing himself for a battle, but the big thing here is that his robotics is stretched thin. He does not have enough time to get more observers out and really spot where Dewalt's army is. And finally, the Templar Zealot transition is fully underway.
Yeah, and another big thing going for Bonyth is that +1 weapon is done, and I'm not too sure if Dewalt has +1, because I didn't see a forge in his base before the replay broke. Looks like Reaver's going to come into the natural again. I don't think he's going to be able to save this, so that Reaver really didn't do much damage. Instant response from Bonyth, so nicely done. 4 Archons, that's going to be so strong going into the mid and late game. We still don't know exactly what Dewalt's comp is. Does he have matching Archon count? Does he have matching Reaver count now that he lost that? Almost maxed army for Bonyth, so he's definitely looking to do something.
Yeah, and honestly, at this stage of the game, Storms can be so insane, just as they are in every matchup. That's the one thing about Bonyth's army that's kind of lacking. There's just, you know, it's all Archons, no Storm. We'll have to see how it goes for him. He still has these double Reavers. Both players have double Reavers. This looks like a good engagement for Bonyth. Most of his units are actually in the fight, whereas Dewalt, a lot of them are lagging. Here comes the Templar, though. They get some 6 Storms off. It doesn't look like they actually have Storm. They're actually morphing into Archons. He forgot Storm, and Bonyth is just going to roll through this army. That was kind of a very skeptical engagement there from Dewalt. You know, most of his units weren't fighting. They were kind of just Congo lining in. And even the Templar that came in, there just wasn't Storm, and Dewalt calls it GG. Wow.
I actually thought that was going to be a good engagement for Dewalt, because a lot of Bonyth's units were choked up in the center and just weren't getting into the fight. And then it was Zealots at the top versus Reavers for Dewalt. But as you mentioned, there was no Storm, so those Templars could have been Archon and really chewed through the Zealots. So a bit of a misstep there. But again, because the replay broke, we don't know exactly what happened in the mid game, whether the supplies were even close at all. Based on how the fight went, it doesn't look like the supply was close, because remember, Bonyth was maxed out and he did have +1. But that is going to be game 1 going over to Bonyth, and really I guess it kind of just came down to the early stages of the game, right? Like, he got 3 probes and then it just snowballed. As you mentioned, the robo timing was basically identical, unit count was basically identical. However, Bonyth could flat out afford 400 minerals going into that Nexus.
Yeah, and it clearly translated to a bunch of Dragoons as well. Yeah, it was just solid from Bonyth that game. He really kind of just, well, at least the early game, he essentially just rode the small advantage he got from the 2-gate opener. But at the same time, I feel like once Dewalt broke out of the contain and he had his third going, I feel like that game state was equal. But Bonyth just had like a way better fight. Like, so unfortunately, I'm pretty sure Dewalt just forgot Storm, because, you know, there's no reason you're running around with Templar instead of having them being, you know, no one's going to forget, oh, I need to make these guys into Archons if your plan is to make Archons. But yeah, if he had Storm there, if he had like 3-4 Storms there and he's just storming the clumped Bonyth ball there, like you said in that engagement, for sure that would have went a bit differently. But unfortunately, that was kind of a blunder there from Dewalt, and he will end up losing this game. It is best of 5. Bonyth is up 1-0. Apparently, they banned Blade Runner and Gold Rush. Blade Runner was Bonyth's ban. Gold Rush was Dewalt. First map, Eclipse, and then second map is going to be Polypoid. So, what do you expect on this map, Mike? Do you think Bonyth is gonna whip out the 2-gate again, or?
No. Remember last season we saw a lot of players just go 1-gate expand, and
Yeah.
I hate to do the boomer thing where I talk about the boomer times, where I
Yeah.
remember even players like Gur talking about how if you have range, I know you have one less goon, and basically he even said like the first person to expand is gonna lose. So I find it shocking that people go for that type of play. Look how depressed Mihai is right now. That's how boomer we went with the Gur comments. Like 22 years in the past.
How are you gonna have one less goon unless you're going like 2 gates, skip your range or something? The most insane build I've ever heard.
Well, I'm just talking about how it's kind of evolved, where more players are getting up that faster nexus that I really would expect not to be able to happen, because a
Right.
nexus could be 3 goons. That's a lot of DPS, and they can range, and they have good damage. So
Yeah, but
we saw that every.
unlike when Gur played, we're playing on Polypoid, not Jungle
Yeah,
Story,
we're not playing on Jungle Story. We're not playing on Acropolis, where there's actually just 4 mineral patches.
What's
If you guys
Acropolis,
have-
man?
You don't even know Acropolis? Oh my gosh. Okay, imagine this. Imagine there are bases. Okay, imagine Fighting Spirit. Like there's a base in the center of the
Yeah.
map, right?
Yeah.
However, these patches are split up. There's 2 at the top,
Yeah.
2 at the bottom, 2 at the left side, 2 at the right side.
actually gonna
And I
look
don't
this
mean
up.
they're close. I mean they're like almost at the top of the map.
I'm looking this up
It's
right now.
horrible.
I've never
There's no
heard
much.
Acropolis. What is this map? It's disgusting, dude. This looks
It's
like
horrible. It's one of the original StarLeague maps. Like it was a BattleNet ladder, maybe not StarLeague, but I remember.
dude, they have in the middle they literally have like 2 mineral, 1 gas
Yeah.
expansions.
Yeah. I remember
is-
watching, what was it, B-Blade Leader versus Gur.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You have no idea what I'm talking about.
No.
Somebody in the chat will recognize these names. We're dropping a bunch of name bombs right now. Really, we're just waiting.
Dude, I just saw Ariador type lol gypsy in the chat. If there's one boomer out there, it's Ariador for sure.
Yeah, he definitely remembers the good old days.
Yeah, he was playing with those guys on the stage with the spaceman costume.
I see Father SC in the chat right now. I don't even know if he was born for those games. I can't believe you haven't. Did you even play original BattleNet Ladder?
No, of course not. Dude, I was 6 or 7.
Oh, you don't even know the good times. There used to be
1999, I told you, I was playing Warcraft 1 on DOS. I was going to elementary school. I was in 1st grade. I remember being on one of those breaks in the 1st grade. I was thinking about the grunts in Warcraft 1, how they have like this axe and they're just slamming people. I'm like, I can't wait to get home to play that. That was me in 1999.
Well, I'm sure you appreciate this. BattleNet Ladder used to be fast speed settings.
Yeah,
Not,
I've heard
not
about that.
fastest. Fast.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there
yeah.
also used to be not just one-on-one. It used to be also free-for-all. So you could play like
Alleged
one
691
free-for-all
is
between
sub
6
for
players.
7
And a map
months.
called Polaris Prime was a very popular map. So you would play a game. Normally you would win like 20 to 25 points in a one-on-one, but but because it's an FFA, you would end up winning like 45, and it would boost your record so much.
Isn't FFA harder?
Yeah,
Dude,
because you have to.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I've
Oh, you played in the FFA on Artosis' stream.
Oh, I play regularly. Well, regularly. I mean, sometimes I'll be bored. I'll log in a Smurf, and because I have Artosis on my friends list, I just immediately join, right? So I've played those potato FFAs. Let me tell you, they're hard to win, man. I haven't won one yet. Maybe I'm just really bad. It's all and
remember-
it's on these clown maps. Like There was this one map where the corner bases started with like 750 minerals, and the middle base, the person that spawns in the middle has like 3 times the mineral fields that you have in the corner, and they have 3,000 minerals. And I'm spawning in the corner with 750 minerals. Think about that for a second.
Sounds balanced. I remember watching you in one of the FFAs. All of chat was like, "Wow, this guy's really good." And you were
Oh,
like,
that was the. Remember I was playing Zerg, and then
Yeah, you were Zerg.
My teammate just died, and I was playing
Yeah.
1v2v2, but it was this
Yes.
big map, and I was
It was-
building Night of Zerg. I
It
still
was you
lost.
versus the world, but you ran out of money.
I can't win versus Artosa's chat. I'm telling you,
Guys.
so like I don't know how you go on old BattleNet and FFA. Like, how do you farm? I guess back then, 1999, people were potato.
Well, if you think
Now-
they're potato now, I can't imagine what you think they are in the past. All right, well let's get back into this series. We have Bonyth up 1-0. As people mentioned or as I mentioned earlier, the overall series between Dewalt and Bonyth in the past 2 years is 50-50. Now this is across all events. It's not just BSL. Like, it includes the G's weekly, it includes everything. So this 90% win rate that Bonyth has in BSL,
Yeah.
a ton of those games are actually just flat out versus Dewalt. And if you can see, Dewalt also has a pretty good win rate, but I don't think that most of those games are versus Bonyth. I remember so many games, specifically in BSL, it seems like Bonyth just always has his number.
Yeah, I was trying to think about what you were just talking about, Naokin, because I'm just thinking about the.
I got it now. He's thinking about Acropolis and what an amazing map and what an amazing time that era was. Oh, look at this. I can queue up ladder and get 45 points in one go. I don't know if you've even gotten 45 points on ladder and remastered, have you?
You were so excited when Remastered was coming out, where you're like, I can't wait for ladder to come out.
Oh, you have no idea.
I'm gonna smack everyone. I'm gonna play so much. And then the first couple, like, what was it, the first month? You just couldn't even queue into people. You would just get that black screen. Remember that?
Black
like-
screen?
Yeah, like, you know where the opponent, it shows their race, and it's like a Zealot Marine or a Zerg or a Hydralisk? Yeah, it was just black, and you never got an opponent. So most people weren't even getting matched. You don't remember this?
I don't remember it.
Well, game's ready. Dewalt versus Bonyth. Game 2, let's get into it.
All right, in the blue, up 1-0 in the series. You know who it is. It is Bonyth.
And in the red, down 0-1. You also know who it is. It's Dewalt.
I feel like we've seen these exact spawns before, and the last time we saw it, I'm pretty sure Bonyth did go into that fast nexus. Now remember, last game he skipped observatory to go for support bay, so I wonder if that's going to be the move here again. Skip observatory, get more powerful units in the early stages while also taking a fast nexus. And as we've mentioned before, advantage for Bonyth in the sense that Dewalt has to come up through high ground into the third base if he wants to attack, but at the same time Dewalt has direct access into the main with a drop if he opts for that.
Yeah, definitely. These positions do favor Dewalt slightly just because of the drop potential. You know, Dewalt has his natural kind of facing or like covering his main base, and it's really hard to run through the natural into the main. Bonyth would have to go all the way around, but you know, it is PvP, and you know, we can talk about kind of these small advantages for like drop play. Excuse me, but if Bonyth just happens to have that much faster of a tech or something, he can still go for it himself and come in from the south side of Dewalt's main. So, you know, a lot of things can happen in this game, obviously, as is the nature of StarCraft games. Looks like both players, though, they are getting their 12 gas following their gateway. So, pretty standard. No 2-gate just yet, but you know, honestly, on these 4-player maps, on these ramped maps especially, you don't see too much deviation. A lot of players do prefer going for the 1-gate robo, or sometimes they go for that early 2nd gate to get some goons out and pressure, and then fall back on the robotics. But outside of that, I mean, going for DTs is quite risky. It's not, and going for multiple gates, like something like a 3-gate or even a 4-gate, it's just not something you see with the ramp, because the player that, you know, if you're on one robotics, 1 gate, you can just kind of camp your ramp and defend your main base, and then eventually you get a Reaver. The Reaver can kind of ward off the contain from the opposing player, and then you can just expand, and then you have harassment threats. So that's why really on this map, it's hard to deviate from the 1-gate robotics or the 2-gate robotics.
Well, we see that both players have played identical builds. I'm paying close attention to where that gas is going to go. Got my eyes locked on that cybernetics. Neither player getting range just yet. Bonyth just now started it. Dewalt has not used his gas just yet. So I wonder where that is. Or did he?
No, he's
has
skipping
not.
Range.
Yeah, he's skipping range to get something else.
Oh.
Okay, now he got it.
Okay.
I think, right?
Yeah, I think he probably just started his range, yeah. Interesting.
Looks like he, I guess, prioritized the 2nd goon first before getting his range, so a little bit of a deviation. Now, you have to start thinking about potential mind games here, because if Bonyth pokes in at a time where he expects range to be done and sees that it's not done, he may all of a sudden think, oh, this might be DT, and it ends up just being standard play. So this could be a really slick move that Dewalt is going for. We'll see if this will play out as he wants. For now, robo timing, basically identical for both players.
Yeah, and just thinking about what Dewalt was doing, probably he might have seen something with the probe. Maybe he was saving that gas for flex, like a flex option. Maybe he can go for Citadel if he sees something specific in Bonyth space, and then he didn't see it, so he started the range. And really, he's not getting punished for that. Like you said, though, if anything, it might actually throw Bonyth a bit off, because the range timing is going to be a bit different. But it shouldn't be so drastically different that you would expect there to be an extra building behind it, right? Because if you go for a Citadel, you would start your range 150 gas later, as opposed to the 50 gas later that Dewalt started it, right?
I want to point out that that probe did go in at 435, and range should have been done by now, because as a Terran player, you and I both know that at 430 you need SCVs repairing that bunker. So I don't know if Bonyth noticed that, but it looks like Dewalt's going to move across the map. Instant reaction from Bonyth. I thought he might get his goon picked off, but instead he gets off a free shot onto it. But now he's overstepping a little bit. Yeah, now he's the one that needs to back off. He tries to sneak the probe into the base. Not able to, but at least he did confirm that there's no nexus. And meanwhile, Bonyth's probe that got in didn't confirm really anything, because it got caught before it could even get to the natural.
Yeah, but it turns out they both have identical builds. Of course, it's really important for the players to figure out what the other player is doing. You know, it's not just it's easy for us to be like, okay, nothing's gonna happen here because they're both on the same builds, but they don't know that, right? So we'll have to see. You know, we're getting close to that observer timing, and then when you don't notice that observer out onto the map, you can start narrowing down the build selection from your opponent. But looks like Bonyth did get that observer, whereas Dewalt is the one to skip the observer this time around. So kind of a reversal from last game, and that's going to allow him to get a Reaver out that much quicker. But I don't think he has any opportunity here to actually bust the front, because they both have the same amount of units. So this might actually allow Dewalt to harass Bonyth's main, though.
Yeah, we can see that more Zealots are coming out for Bonyth and Dewalt. Both of them have 3. Goon count is the same. Zealot count is the same. First Reaver and Shuttle is moving out for Dewalt. Meanwhile, don't think that Reaver's out just yet for Bonyth. Looks like we may have an interception in the center of the map, but high ground's going to be in favor of Bonyth, so he's got to be, or Dewalt has to be careful moving up. First couple shots go down. Can the Reaver get off a hit before Bonyth gets off any damage with that Reaver? It looks like the answer is yes. Those Zealots are very low on health, that one of them almost died even. But that high ground is going to be a big difference maker, and Dewalt knows that, so he is going to back off for now and just take his natural.
Yeah, this high ground on Polypoid does does dictate a lot of the game. Even in, for example, TVT, it slows down the game considerably. You can't just go for like bust. So PvP, kind of the same situation here. Bonyth can defend despite having slower timings on his Reaver. And now Dewalt is going to take his natural. Bonyth looks like he actually opted to make a couple more units before taking his natural, probably as a response from seeing Dewalt playing so aggressively. But soon enough, he will take his expansion as well. And, you know, finally, Dewalt does have an observer. It is getting inside of Bonyth's base. He does see the shuttle. He does see the natural being a bit delayed here. Second Reaver popping out of the robotics if he was paying attention to that. So definitely Bonyth is going to try and do something aggressive here. Second Reaver for Dewalt also pulling out of the robotics.
It looks like pretty much identical supply, 67 to 69. Now Dewalt's going to have the one with the high ground, and unless Bonyth stays very close to the wall, these Reavers should get off a couple free hits. Ooh, I thought that goon was going to trigger some damage, but it looks like for now Bonyth has snuck to the very top side. Now that opens the main though, because all of the units for Dewalt are right there. Bonyth could just send the shuttle into the natural, or could send it into the main. That's exactly what he's done. He sent it into the natural. But now this might force an engagement right at the center of the map.
And smart move here from Bonyth, but okay, it looks like actually Dewalt is going to go for the engagement, but he loses the shuttle with one Reaver inside of it, and Bonyth really does not pay for that. It looks like this Nexus at the natural might actually go down as well. Oh my god, that actual splash damage from hitting the Dragoon kills the Nexus. That was surprising. I thought for a second that maybe Bonyth wouldn't even kill the Nexus, which would have been a travesty for him. But already trading basically one Dragoon for a shuttle and a Reaver is massive. Killing the Nexus there, I mean, that's not something you see every day. Two Reavers killing a Nexus like that.
And remember, Dewalt lost his shuttle and Reavers, or he lost one of the Reavers. So it's not like he can instantly counterattack. If he had killed Bonyth's shuttle and Reavers, then he might have an opportunity to do that. But now he kind of just has to play behind. Bonyth's Nexus is now complete. He's got the high ground at the third base, so he can intercept any engagement very easily. Meanwhile, looks like more observers are just going to come out for Bonyth. We've seen a couple times where the players have focused on going for a second shuttle and multiple Reavers, but it looks like that's not the case this time. Okay, I was wondering where the gateways are, and it looks like Dewalt's the one putting down 3 and 4 gates.
Did you see that Goon miss a shot on the observer?
I did.
Okay. Hope that wasn't just me. I was like, what? Dude, Bonyth, I feel like Bonyth is a player that we've noticed the most. I remember that game versus Oyaji where the Dragoon missed the shot and then he lost the game or whatever.
Yeah, he lost that that one goon, and then the other one just had one hit. Yeah, kind of just snowballed a bit.
Maybe Bonyth is just the unluckiest player in the history of this game, but
yeah, the most unlucky.
I mean, that observer would have died and then he would have won this game. No, but looks like obviously Bonyth again getting into a nice position, killing that Nexus helped him, and it's translating into a 10+ supply lead, which is roughly the same type of lead he had last game, where I mean, Dewalt did manage to salvage it a bit. Here comes another Reaver drop. Does not kill too many groves.
That reaction time from Dewalt was like before the Reaver even landed, he pulled probes, and the pylon didn't even see it. So just insane reaction timing from Dewalt. Now this is what I always get worried about: is will the Reaver AI bug out moving up ramps like this? Looks like the answer right now is not gonna bug out. So that's nice for Dewalt, but he's not able to find any damage. Now there's a key upgrade. Speed has kicked in for Bonyth, whereas Dewalt does not have speed, so he can send these shuttles across the map without worry pretty much. However, there's no shuttle in this army. Oh no, Dewalt doesn't realize, and that's going to be a bunch of probes going down, but this is going to trigger Dewalt to just go for it. Now those Reavers are getting off some juicy shots, but where is Dewalt's Reavers? Is he going to unload?
He doesn't even need to.
He doesn't even have
them.
them.
The Reaver. You think so?
I don't think he has them. He should have unloaded by now, right? Oh, he does have them. There's the two.
Well, double Reaver with all these goons. I mean, Bonyth has a nice arc going, and he does have more goons.
Oh, no!
This Reaver inside of Dewalt's main is absolutely wrecking havoc, though. But Dewalt, kind of in a blaze of glory, just YOLOing in, completely sacking his economy. He should be able to kill this Nexus. I mean, he has to be able to kill this Nexus, or else the game's over. These two Reavers have to do their, you know, the heavy lifting here, because there are more Dragoons on Bonyth's side. But double Reaver can just output so much damage, but not before Bonyth cleans up all the Dragoons. So now it's really only a shuttle and two Reavers. Well, there's two Dragoons left. Oh my god, massive shot onto the probes. This is going to be, it's almost too close to call. That's a lot of Dragoons coming down the ramp for Bonyth. He should be able to clean this up. He is going to try and get in range to kill that shuttle so it doesn't just pick up the Reavers and save them. So nice micro there by Bonyth, actually kind of positioning his Dragoons just right to kill the Reaver and kill the shuttle. And now, looking at the aftermath, Bonyth is still up in supply. He still, I mean, mostly as a result of still having an economy.
Yeah, but Dewalt's going to try and go for another attack here. He's got, I think, 7 goons. He's got a Reaver and a goon on the other side of the map. Actually, 2 goons on the other side of the map. But not with the army. He also doesn't have his shuttle anymore, so the Reaver can't really get into this next fight. Looks like Bonyth smells blood in the water. He's going to snipe a couple of these goons. Looks like a reinforcing straggler goon might get picked off, and that's a unit that you cannot afford to lose right now. Being down almost 30 supply is Dewalt. He needs every single unit he can possibly get.
Yeah, and Dewalt is just in a terrible spot. That attack just didn't quite work for him, and he lost his entire economy. Yeah, Bonyth is playing really solid here, and Dewalt, it looks like, you know, I feel like his nerves are getting the better of him. It doesn't seem like he's, you know, when you get harassed like that and you just kind of YOLO in, it's not like a good sign of confidence, you know, like just gambling like that instead of trying to play a more solid game. So didn't quite work out.
Oh my gosh, like 4 or 5 goons get splashed there. 2 of them die in an instant. And he's not even going to worry about the remaining goons. He's just going to go for an instant counterattack. You can see that Dewalt set the latency. A lot of times when that happens in the middle of the game, you're tilted. And there is the GG. So unfortunately, if you're a Dewalt fan, he got picked apart there, losing his Nexus to just 2 Reavers, and was not able to force a fight and an engagement to kind of nullify that disadvantage. And if you're a Bonyth fan, he's 1 game away.
Yeah. You hate to see that when Dewalt actually... I like how he changed the lane scene, then just GG'd. Like, you know he's tilted.
Yeah. It's like in League or Dota, right, where you just like ping over and over when something happens. Like you're just so mad. Yeah, so I think he's actually on tilt, and that's not going to bode well for him going into Game 3. So I'm looking at the maps that we have remaining. Remember, Blade Runner, Gold Rush were banned. Eclipse and Polypoid we've already played. And then your map is coming up. How do we say it? Azul? Demonio Azul? Hit me with it.
Yeah, that's good, man. It's more like the thing is, the Z is more like a really strong S. So also like this is the thing, you know, like you gotta just pronounce the vowels like a, e, I, o, u, right? Like just the standard. So you just go Demonio Azul, or Azul if you're straight up Spanish.
Have you asked the map maker how it's supposed to be pronounced?
Probably has no idea.
Okay, he doesn't.
Last Curse, I don't know, maybe he does, but I don't know where Last Curse is from, but I'm just saying. I know Freakling isn't, he's not Spanish, right? He's like German or something.
I have no idea. I don't know any of the map makers, unfortunately. The only one I recognize is Minerals, right? I see him in the chat a couple times. I can't remember exactly which map he made, but I recognize.
Oh, he's proud of it though.
Oh, I know what he made. He made that map, the FFA map that you're talking about, right?
No, he made one of them, but I don't know if it's the one that no, because I played no. He made like the new one that Arteza was using.
The Team Melee one, right?
I don't know, but maybe it was the other one too. But who knows?
Yeah, I mean it could have been, but it looks like we are just waiting for the players to get into the game. We were talking. Well, Zero was telling us that the last time or the last game, actually, both players went into the replay to see what went wrong or what went well. You know, Dewalt is definitely analyzing that replay to make sure that that doesn't happen again, because it's always a heartbreaker when you play somebody that does the same build as you, right? Like you're like, okay, we have the exact same opener. How did I lose this game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to, you know, being in Dewalt's shoes. You know, the guy is like really strong, right? He's a very strong player, but it's quite obvious that I feel like probably the pressure of being that, having those expectations is getting to him, because we actually saw, I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but he did lose 0-5 to Terra in the best of the best series. And mostly if you watch the games, you can tell, like, you know, there's a point where, like, if it's 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, 0-5, it doesn't matter. Like, the players just checked out. And I feel like we're kind of in the same situation here, where, you know, it just seems like Dewalt is kind of not dealing with the pressure too well. So, of course, it's hard. It's really hard being a player in that situation. But Dewalt, like, given his skill level, there's something else at play other than, like, his actual skill, you know?
Well, I don't really necessarily think he played poorly in the previous games. I think just Bonyth straight out played a little bit better than him.
I mean, I don't know if I buy that, because, you know, when you, like I said, when you get harassed and your decision is not to deal with that, but to just attack, like that is very, very, well, you know, maybe I'm just being a caster here. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I feel like that's very indicative of, like, a very tilted mentality where you're not playing with confidence. Because if you're playing solid and you're thinking, you know what, I'm just going to win this game, I'm just going to play strong, that's not the type of move you make. You know, especially not on a map like Polypoid, where your opponent's defending on the high ground like that. Like, you can't just force the issue. But, I mean, at the same time, yeah, like you said, you see the shuttle and 2 Reavers, that's a decent portion of the opponent's army, but I don't know.
Well, you're a player, so let's say that we're checked out. We're just out of it right now. How do we get back into the mindset to try and come back with a reverse sweep? Like, do we, like, go walk around our house? Do we go get a drink of water? Like, what are we doing to try and
what do you think?
By this series? Well, a lot of times I just get really mad and I just think I want to kill this guy now. So I don't necessarily walk around. I'm just like, all right, I don't even want you watching the replay. Let's get into the next game and play, because I want to kill this guy ASAP. That's pretty much what I do. But maybe that's just me tilting even harder. Yeah. Looks like players are ready. So let's see if Bonyth can close it out 3-0 over one of the favorites of the tournament. All right, in the bottom left, he needs some help. It is Dewalt.
And in the 12 o'clock, it is Bonyth. You know, just answering your question real quick, I mean, it all depends on the person, right, obviously, but I feel like there's a point where you get so tilted that you just tell yourself, I'm just going to play my game. I'm just going to, you know, who cares? I've accepted whatever happened, and then you start playing without that fear of loss. I feel like that's what Dewalt needs. Just play your best game, play solid. Don't care about the result. Because for sure he's yeah, I mean, I don't know, you know, it happens, right? Like, you can't always win. You know, you can't always win. Even if you're the best player. I mean, even Flash is this.
That is true, because when I played WCG, there were 2 years that I thought was like my best skill relative to other players, and each year I just bombed out like almost instantly. And those years was 2003 and 2006. 2003 was my first year in WCG, and I felt like I couldn't lose TVT. And my first match was versus Froz, and I lost versus him. In 2006, I was in ByClan, so I was playing with a lot of future pro gamers, and I thought, okay, there's no way I can lose. And then I lost in groups. And you know what I did the next year? I was like, you know what? I don't even care anymore, because I practice this much, and I still lose. It's like, all right, I'm just too nervous whenever I have high expectations. So the next year, I had no expectations at all. I wasn't even thinking about playing the qualifier, but then it was online where I could just farm a few players and sit on my points. So I ended up only practicing for like maybe 2 weeks before WCG, and that was my best performance ever. I ended up getting second. So it is a real issue that sometimes nerves get the best of you. Now I do see that both players, looks like there is a deviation, because Bonyth is the one going for Zealot, whereas Dewalt is skipping the Zealot for now.
Yeah, it's interesting whenever players skip the Zealot. Overall, I mean, it's obviously going to be good if you can get away with it, but it is hard to get away with it, because, again, the Zealot has utility beyond the first 3 minutes here, even in the first couple fights. With 2 or 3 Dragoons, the one Zealot can really kind of enhance it by just tanking. But, you know, looking at these two builds here, I mean, again, the deviation doesn't really start until the third pylon goes down, though sometimes you do see players put down their second gate before third pylon. That's like the 2-gate opener. That's kind of really solid in this matchup, honestly. I'm surprised we haven't seen it yet. Both players kind of... Oh, there you go. Bonyth is going to go for that 2-gate opening. Oh, they're both doing it.
Could be 3-gate. This could be 3-gate. Both players cutting probes. And
well, it is a map without a ramp, yeah, so that's one thing we haven't mentioned.
And it looks like Bonyth is not going to go for a third gate, but he is cutting, so where's this money going? Because he's also stuck at, okay, he was stuck at 23 supply, right? It's not like he's at 24 supply where he's able to build another goon. Like, it seemed like he was cutting to build another goon, but now another probe is coming out, so I'm curious where that money's going. There's a pylon. It looks like Bonyth is actually setting up for a robo.
Yeah, that's third gate, like you said, from Dewalt. Bonyth is on just a 2-gate, so most likely robotics will be following it. But actually, it might be Citadel as well, though you maybe expect the Citadel to come out a bit earlier. No, this is for sure robotics. I do like Dewalt's build in this situation. That's the one thing about rampless maps, is that the gateway flood is actually quite strong against robotics builds, because the extra goons, especially in open maps or in open situations, can just totally outvalue a shuttle and a reaver, especially early on. That's what makes yeah, I mean, on that's why you see a lot of gate builds on these rampless maps.
Well, I'm getting a bit worried, because it looked like it's 4 goons and 1 Zealot versus just 5 goons. And Zealot is surprisingly strong in this scenario, but look at that. Dewalt instantly pounces on the first 2 goons. No goon goes down at all for Dewalt, so that's a bit of a micro misstep from Bonyth. And now that Bonyth sees how many goons are out, he should know that this is a 3-gate play, and he is in big trouble.
This game's over.
Yeah, this might
Dewalt had
already
a
be
probe.
over.
Like, he literally had a probe inside of Bonyth's base, so he knows there's a robotics. He knows it's 2-gate. He has 3-gate. Doesn't have to worry about DTs. He just killed a bunch of goons. What's gonna stop him from coming here?
I don't think there's anything that's going to stop him. 4 goons do deal a lot of damage, especially when units are coming in a line. So Bonyth is going to push it back for now, but already an 8 supply lead for Dewalt. You can see he's just backing into more goons. Well, there's 1 goon that went down. Surprisingly, Bonyth hasn't lost anything just yet. Looks like that goon may end up falling, but so far 2 goons for 1. He might be able to hold this if he can get into a nice concave.
Yeah, I mean, the concave is going to be crucial, holding it at, and it's not quite in position just yet, and Dewalt just walks in here. He does focus fire, well, sick micro from both players to focus fire the weak Dragoons, but it looks like Dewalt has pushed in. Now he has access to these gates, so when goons pop out, he's going to be able to tag them real quick before Bonyth's Dragoons actually engage. He has 3 more goons coming in. He is going to back off. He cannot lose a Dragoon for free, though. That's really sick micro from Bonyth. If Bonyth holds this with 2-gate, that'd be incredible. It'd be... Oh, there's only 2 goons that came in here for Dewalt, though. I think he missed the macro cycle off one of his gates.
And Reaver popped out, so now it's a different story with those 4 goons on top of your gate and the Reaver pops out because they can just instantly jump on the Reaver. But the fact that Bonyth was able to push it out, push the goons out right before the Reaver pops out, now he's in an amazing position. Even though he's down supply, he's got a more impactful unit. However, he needs to be careful here because if it's 7 goons versus 4 and a Reaver, I think he could win that fight. Instead, it's only 5. So Bonyth did manage to hold this, but behind this, Dewalt is teching hard. He's got his robo done, but Bonyth is going to have, I think, 2 Reavers and a shuttle probably out before even Dewalt even has 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually kind of interesting. I'm surprised Dewalt is going for his own robotics here instead of just expanding and going for more gates, because really, like, mass gates, like, the only downside mass gates has is that you don't have detection, so even delayed DTs can be a nuisance. But in these open maps, like, just having a lot more Dragoons than your opponent can really deal well with the Reaver. But now, because he's going Reaver as well, I mean, that obviously can be a good decision. He's going to just use the Reaver timing to try and bust an expansion. If Bonyth takes this expansion off of 2 gates, it's going to be really hard for him to hold. But I don't know, you know, I'm actually quite shocked Bonyth is still alive here.
Well, I am also shocked. However, what I'm most shocked about is where he's positioned, because I feel like this is the only angle where you could get overwhelmed. If he sat even at his nat, he has arc advantage, right? Like, the choke is just flat out smaller, but he decides to sit out in the center. And Dewalt is sharking around the center of the map, but it looks like he's recognized that Reaver an attack should be coming in pretty soon. Now, when you're in Dewalt's situation like this, you do not want to get choked up in your natural because you'll never win that fight. So he wants to hide these goons on the side and try and come from all angles like Zerg does versus Protoss. That's exactly what he's doing. He's actually behind Bonyth's army.
This is going to be a really good fight for Dewalt. I mean, he's flanking from both sides. He has a Reaver as well. This is going to be total annihilation. The Reavers do get dropped. That was a 6 Scarab connection, and actually Bonyth is trading. He doesn't even have, he still has his shuttle and 2 Reavers. How is that even possible? Bonyth is going to win this fight?
I don't even know what just happened there. Those Reavers just exploded 3 goons in the blink of an eye, and Dewalt's Reaver didn't help at all. And this army that we thought was just going to get absolutely slammed, he has 4 goons left over and a Reaver left over, and he's walking this Reaver into Dewalt's main, and that's it. Dewalt just taps out. Oh my god. That might have been the best fight or the best result that Bonyth possibly could have ever had. I actually don't think that could have gone any better. Those Scarab hits were nuts. Did you see your camera freeze?
I don't even understand what happened, man. That was actually...
He had 8 goons behind Bonyth's army. He could one-shot a shuttle with those 8 goons, and somehow both of the Reavers lived.
That's almost crazier than when
that's ridiculous.
Terry yesterday just sieged up all his tanks and still killed the attack from Boa.
I'm kind of speechless about that attack.
Yeah, no, honestly, I mean, that game is kind of just, there's not much to say about it.
Dewalt had 2 Zealots also, and they obviously are soaking up a lot of hits, and he still just got completely slammed. So that's gonna be Dewalt just being eliminated. When did we start? I mean, we started an hour ago, but you know, because of all the replay watching and stuff, like the games, it was 30 minutes and he's out. Like, that's it, he's gone. And Bonyth moves into the round of 4, and it looks like it doesn't even matter whether Bonyth has build order advantage or disadvantage. He'll somehow make it work.
Yeah, that's it. Bonyth just kind of, it was his day today. And as it seems to usually be when it comes to the BSL versus Dewalt. So 3-0 is going to be the scoreline. And Bonyth is going to advance to the semifinals. He will be waiting the winner of True Touch versus Oya, which is going to be our next series coming up in just a bit here. And yeah, I think we're just going to go into a break for now. See you guys in a bit.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, not you.
Yeah, I muted. We both muted ourselves.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hey, congrats, dude.
Yeah, thanks. Feels great.
Oh. Not every day you see 2 gates defending 3 gates. How much more time do we have on the break? Oh, whatever. I'll just wait.
I hear you.
I can hear you.
I can't
Yeah,
hear
I
you. Oh, wait, sorry. Yeah, I can hear you. No, I'm good. Don't worry about it. Sorry.
Yep, Alicia.
So cute.
We are back, and I guess unknowingly we were already back, but joining us is Bonyth. So first off, we of course want to say congratulations to you, Bonyth. Now tell me, what were your thoughts going into this series? Because Dewalt is one of the best foreigners, if not the best foreigner in the foreign scene, yet somehow you managed to take him down 3-0.
Yes, I'm just as surprised as you are because I know he's a beast. But hey, in the end, I wasn't that active as of late, so yeah, I felt like okay, maybe I'm not gonna win this, like 50% for me to win this, but well, PvP is a PvP, so as long as you can prepare some builds beforehand and then execute them, well, it turned out great, so it feels really good to beat them in this fashion.
Well, I think everybody wants to know. How the heck did you win that final fight on Demonio Azul? Dewalt coming in with a massive Dragoon. We thought everything was going to explode, but instead you're left over with 4 goons and 1 Reaver and just pushed to victory.
I don't know. It feels like the map is very similar to Sylphid, so I thought that he would be prepared for that. My 4 gun plus 1 0 timing, and so he was. And I got absolutely wrecked in the middle of the map. How did I win this? So a little bit of mind games. I put a couple of guns before in front of my natural, so he would think that maybe I expanded or something. But I went for 1 push, but so did he. How did I win? Well, 2 scarabs connected to 3 guns, and then the next 2 scarabs connected to the other 3 guns. So it was well, his idea was really good. It was just lack of execution and enough spread guns.
Well, here you are now in the semifinals. Of course, you know you're used to winning in the BSL, but who would you rather play? Between Oya and True Touch, what are your thoughts on the next? Well, just two stages here. Mm-hmm. 1, what's your thoughts on the next game, and then 2, who would you rather play?
I think True Touch is gonna be the favorite. He plays rather more than less these days. And so I'd also rather meet Oya in the semifinals. Why? Because even for practice against Dewalt, I was practicing with True Touch a lot. So it's like if we are not playing against each other the next week, we're gonna just practice against each other because, obviously PvP would be better practice, but hey, better any game than no game. So and just click and just be active, and that's this kind of practice is good enough.
Well. Congrats on today. It was a really solid performance again, kind of surprising 3-0, but you know, I mean, it was really good. He played really well in all those games, and yeah, congrats. Do you have anything else you would like to say, maybe to your fans, maybe a shout out?
Some of you may wonder why I don't stream. So it's because I'm waiting for my new internet connection that's gonna be stable. And once I get it, so it's like I'm really calm and all person. But when it comes down like my technical issues, like my internet is lagging, it really pisses me off that inner Artosis awakens inside of me. So yeah, I need that internet connection, and once I have that, I'll be back to streaming. So yeah, I hope you guys are waiting for me, and thanks obviously for cheering for me.
Yeah, well, you heard it here first, guys. Wait for that internet. Bonyth's gonna be back to slaying the ladder on stream. Once again, congrats, dude. It was a sick performance for you today. Good luck in the rest of the tournament.
Thanks.